Charity Singleton Craig, author of On Being a Writer, 12 Simple Habits for a Writing Life That Lasts. I'm also a freelance writer and an editor, and for this series, I'm a video host. And today, I have a guest with me, Kristin Schell. Hi, Kristin.
Hi.
Kristin is a longtime food and faith blogger, and I met her through mutual friends in the wonderful world of the internet writing community. And Kristin, you want to say a little more about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me here.
You're
It's
welcome.
an honor, and your book has been so helpful to me, so I can't wait to kind of dive in.
Great, thanks.
But I live in Austin, Texas, and like you said, I've been blogging for about 10 years, but am sort of moving into a new direction where I'm writing articles, and I'm in the process of writing my first book.
Excellent, excellent. So you're really making some progress in your writing life in these last few months. Excellent.
I am, which is why I needed your book.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed the book and that it's been helpful, and that's what we're going to talk about today, as you know. So the first question, as I mentioned that the subtitle of the book is 12 Simple Habits for the Writing Life That Lasts, which one of those 12 habits are you connecting with most right now at this stage in your writing life?
Well, all of them have been super helpful. I've actually read the book twice. But
Okay.
the one where I am right now is the very last chapter. It's Limit.
Ah.
And that to me is because and y'all describe it with a quote at the very beginning of the chapter, you know, that there's this wrestling with your creative muse. And that's kind of where I am. I'm trying to figure out how to be a writer and take that discipline more seriously and actually, you know, produce, which I said I was writing a book. And so it's super hard, but many of the things that y'all pointed out in that chapter have been very helpful. Specifically, you know, yes, be a writer, but keep living your life. And so that's one of the very tangibles that I took away. And I've actually gone through and have had to make a list, like y'all suggested, and then what are some things that I might have to say no to, you know, just for a season perhaps, to accomplish that goal.
I think it's a good point that you're talking about maybe some of these things you're limiting only have to be for a season, because it feels sad to give up big things in our lives if we imagine that we can never do them again. I've done that with art and painting. I can't do it right now, but maybe I can do it again another time. What kinds of things is there anything you could share specifically that you feel like you've had to limit?
I am part of a leadership team for a women's Bible study, and this Bible study has brought me up, you know, for the last 15 years. And but it was a huge time commitment, and it was a Tuesday morning and a Wednesday morning commitment, and then just sort of the writing behind scenes on that, and just the mental, you know, sort of responsibility that goes with running that. And so gratefully, the women who are part of this ministry with me, you know, saw that I wasn't going to be able to do it all. And so they gracefully kind of gave me a sabbatical. But that was hard. And, you know, when you're making those decisions, you don't immediately know. I mean, it's not like it's, oh, well, that's easy. Let's just stop doing that for like a year.
Right.
It's not that black and white. And so that was a big decision I had to step away from, one that was very hard. But then there's little things daily. That's where I get in trouble. You know, it's kind of the daily things, because most of us are doing really good things in our lives. You know, I have yet to find someone who's really sitting around eating the proverbial bonbons, you know?
Yes.
And so we're doing good things. And so it's just finding what do I need to say no to?
Yes, that's so true. It is the daily things. I think you're right, and we probably could have written more about that in the book, that the daily limitations really do make a big difference. For me, is it might be not going out to lunch with someone, or at least spreading them out so that I'm not going out to lunch with a friend twice a week or something like that. So those are good. Well, speaking of maybe something we could have written a little bit more about, is there, you know, out of the 12 habits, I'm sure there are other habits that we could have explored. Is there one particular area of your writing life that is important to you right now that we didn't cover in the book?
No, y'all covered it. I mean, you really did. And I'm not saying, I tried to think of this because, you know, I was like, okay, what would be helpful? Like, what wasn't covered? You know, I didn't come across anything yet. You know, I mean, the applications are very personal, but I think that, you know, that y'all laid those out in a manner that allowed me to kind of explore each discipline, each positive, each kind of, weakness where I was or am as a writer, and sort of let me come to my own conclusions.
Well, good. I didn't realize we were so thorough. Actually, I think it probably depends on the reader and also the stage of your writing life. At different stages, there are probably going to be other issues that come up that you'll want to explore. For instance, I can imagine one for you. I know you have 4 kids and a busy life. I know that my co-author, Anne Croker, has talked about, in fact, she mentioned it in her segment of this video series that I did with her a few days ago, that the idea of having sort of a mobile workstation has been important to her. And I could imagine that might be part of what your writing life requires now.
Absolutely, because I do not have long stretches of a day, and I fantasize about that, and we all dream of the cabin in the woods, where we can go and have these Wendellberry, sabbaticals to write in.
Yes.
But I spent a lot of time waiting for that to happen, and it's not.
I think that is key in a modern writing life, because you're right. Most of us are squeezing in writing. Even I'm a full-time freelance writer and editor, but I have client work I do, and I have my own projects I want to do. And so in order to make time for all of those, I have to take advantage of whatever time I have. So, well, the last 2 questions are related, and they are about what is next. So what is next in your writing life? You can save that one for last if you'd like. But what would you give, what kind of advice would you give to a writer who is ready to take the next step in her own writing life?
And everybody wants that $1 million answer of what's next. What's the exact answer, and it's different for everyone. For me, it's sort of having a confidence and a settling of who I am as a writer. We spend a lot of time searching for our voice. One of the greatest things, that kind of going through the exercises in y'all's book helped me was that I have one voice, but I have several different dialects. And so if I'm writing a blog post, I'm going to sound much different than when I'm writing memoir, which is what I'm currently working on. Writing a blog post, I could do in carpool line, or with music in the background, or a bunch of kids eating dinner, kind of in the background. I can't do that, with memoir. For me, it's setting aside a dedicated day where I say no to the lunches. I say things at school. I say no to even dinner. I use the crock pot, on Thursdays. And those are my days when I give space and freedom to allow the creative muse to show up.
That's great. I'm a big crockpot user too. So, well, you alluded to the memoir.
Yes.
I'm sure that is a big thing of what's next. Anything else next you want to tell us about?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing of the memoir is that it's a story, but it's a story of one that I'm currently living, which is this movement of the turquoise table.
Yes.
And all of that started when I put a bright turquoise in my front yard as a way to build community, and the people who live literally right outside my front door. And so that's a huge part of the story I'm living. And the challenging part then, of course, is sitting down and writing about what I'm living.
Yes, yes. Taking the time away from the living to document and record and reflect.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kristin.
You're so welcome. And thank you for your words and for writing, because it's so helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad. And thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this series.